Can I add something here?
Yeah, Kate.
This is a really small example of not worrying about perfection when I shared with you that I just recently decided, oh, I'll just buy these sketchbooks and tear the pages out so I don't have all the prep work. Well, one thought that popped into my head was, yeah, but the sketchbook papers are not really meant for water-based stuff. So if I had chosen to go down that rabbit hole, you know, I could have recreated another stumbling block for myself. Well, maybe I need to do mixed media sketchbooks, but those only come, you know, here I go. And all of a sudden I'm stopping myself. And I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. They're starts. They're explorations.
It doesn't matter.
They get wavy and bubbly because they don't take water very well. Who cares? Buy the damn sketchbooks.
Beautiful.
So just wanted to share that real world application of that expectation of things needing to be perfect. It's like, nah, not in this
making perfect paintings, right?
In this case,
but they may happen.
In this case, the saying about done is better than perfect. Mm-hmm. In this case, that applies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, just wanted to pop that in there.
Nancy,
yes, Mary.
What is that quote of Picasso? He said he spent his entire adult life
trying to paint, like, I don't know if it was Rembrandt or Velázquez, you know, but it was like, but, you know, when he was 15, he could paint like that, but it took his whole life to be able to paint like a child. And it's like, to get to that place that is innovation, to get to that place where children are stepping up to the canvas and trusting themselves and just creating just explosive, amazing paintings that take you somewhere new. Yeah.
Yes. on whatever paper there is, on the ground, on the sidewalk, on a paper bag, on a pizza box, whatever they could find.
Yeah, French line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mundane materials, quotidian materials.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of this experimentation, and we're all open to those possibilities.
So I think that, you know, I was just going to say about that, you know, I think, is it that we're over galleried, or that we're overthinking what is going to end up in somebody else's hands and make us famous and wealthy, or whatever it is, we get these ideas about why we're in this, you know. And I think at the very beginning of the course, and certainly in the book, there's a lot of self-reflection about. And I think, Nancy, you're really good at guiding us in this self-reflection. Why am I doing? Why now? Why art? Right? Why am I an artist? And what do I believe? And what do I trust in myself? And I think that's so important to remember. And that helps you sort of, even though we may end up in galleries and we may end up selling our paintings and so on, but that's not the driving force here. The driving force is something, the creative impulse that cannot not work, right? You have to do it because it's in you to have to do it. And you may be unhappy with what you end up with, or you may be very happy with what you end up with, but it's the doing, you have to do it. It's a force in you that you cannot resist. And that is sometimes a difficult thing to come to terms with when it's just you alone in your studio, and where is that other voice validating, well, that was time well spent. That's a nice piece, you know, where is that? And if you're not pushing stuff out and getting validation from complete strangers out there, but the validation we get in this group and from Nancy is extraordinary, right? And the validation really should be coming from ourselves.
That's right. Intrinsic validation, internal validation. That's right, Kathryn. I love that. And, you know, as you were speaking, it reminded me of something David Whyte, the poet David Whyte, said something. He was talking about, you know, I'm just kind of extrapolating from the poem, but it was like, you know, you're having this nightmare, you're kind of wrestling around, and it's like there's been a storm and there's limbs everywhere and you're just fighting yourself. But you, my friend, are quibbling is one of his lines. You, my friend, are quibbling, because you see, your soul doesn't care if you get your painting hung on a gallery wall. Okay? Your soul wants you to paint. Okay? In the end, it's like, that's the why that drives it. Whether or not your paintings end up on a gallery wall or not, whether or not they win the prize. Ultimately, it's like, what does your soul want, or your being? And he was talking a lot about kind of ego and soul, right? You know, there's this strategic mind, the part of us that, yeah, I want to like get into these museums and all these things, which is fine. But the deeper thing is that, you know, your soul wants you to paint. You paint because you have to, or create because you just, it's a driving force. It's so meaningful to you. It brings you alive, or whatever it is for you, but it's something. And getting at your why and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And that why, and it could be many whys, but that why also can change because you're changing, you're evolving, right? But that's so important. And that's that inner landscape we talk about that threads through everything we do. And it affects not only our art, but our life. And so this is huge, a huge piece of it, because we're facing ourselves, just like Dante did down in you know, Hades. You know, we're facing ourselves in the end. And that's the transformation. We got to face ourselves in our art and in our lives, and see what we learn and see what comes up, and keep going in these spirals as we continue to grow.
Can I just say something quick about that?
Yes,
when you talk about how the art relates to our life, so the two areas right now that I would say for me are risk and clarity. Mm-hmm. So I feel more, I trust myself more to take risks. And then I also feel like I want to clarify both in my art and my life.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And you see, it's like just staying aware. And Elizabeth, as you are, I mean, our art teaches us about ourselves. Oh, yeah. It's a mirror. We're continually learning, and that's where you are right now. That's what's important. That's what's come through. So I appreciate that. And these are the kinds of things we can look at, and you can look at in your art.